making recommendations to find books that fit your taste. Next Chapter Booksellers also hosts many book readings and meet and greets with authors. And they sell a wide variety of puzzles and games, too. So stop by the store off Snelling and Grand in St. Paul or place an order online at nextchapterbooksellers.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 83, tonight partly cloudy with a low around 61, and Wednesday a chance for thunderstorms with a high near 77. Discover Market Fresh, your local Asian food store located just south of Rosedale on County Road 36, and Shanghai Wholesale Market, your international food warehouse in St. Paul's Midway at 640 Pryor Avenue North. This Father's Day weekend only, get 10% off meats and seafood at Market Fresh and Shanghai Wholesale Market.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and airing on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Welcome to The Gailey Show, the only daily LGBTQ progressive radio news and talk show in the United States. I am your host, John Parker, professionally queer since 2014. In studio with me today is my executive producer, Jim Pounds.
Hey, all.
All right. So before we get started, Queer Gaze presents Pride at Imagine Willow Creek. Queer Gaze, Gaze, is excited to once again partner with Imagine Willow Creek to showcase a series of queer films this June. Get ready to laugh, cheer, and shed a joyful tear every Sunday at 2 p.m. when they celebrate queer films, new and old. Tickets are on sale at imagine-entertainment.com/queergaze. This Sunday, June 15th, Queer Gaze will screen Appropriate Behavior. A secretly bisexual Persian-American Brooklynite is struggling to navigate her recent breakup in this romantic dramedy. We follow Shireen as she struggles to rebuild her life while reminiscing about her relationship with her ex. Again, tickets on sale at imagine-entertainment.com/queergaze. That's a long link, so you can find it on our website, am950radio.com or heartlandsignal.com, or follow us on Blue Sky. We're at thegaileyshow.org. What is on the show today? Tammye Nash, the managing editor for the Dallas Voice, returns to The Gailey Show starting today. Tammye will be joining us bi-weekly to share the Dallas Voice's award-winning journalism. But up first, we've been talking about various Pride events in Minneapolis and Hastings and Chicago, and one of my absolute favorite places in the upper Midwest is Marquette, Michigan. I've been traveling to Marquette about twice a year now for going on a decade. I got to go to Pride Fest in Marquette a couple years ago, and I will be there again this upcoming Saturday. As a former Michigander who grew up without Pride celebrations and like the entire neck of the Northwest Lower Michigan woods, I'm obviously very thrilled to be doing this. Lex Exworthy is the chair of the board of directors for UP Peninsula Pride and joins us now to discuss Pride Fest 2025 and the larger work of LGBTQ organizing and resource development in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. Hello, Lex. Welcome to The Gailey Show.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, so what I'm most curious about, like, what do I get to expect in Marquette on Saturday? And for folks who are in Chicago, like, fly up. Folks in Northwest Wisconsin, Minneapolis, the drive is exquisite, especially this time of year. So like, it is a really lovely drive to get there. And Marquette is gorgeous on Lake Superior. I sound like I'm doing a travel advertisement, but this is on the harbor. It's right on Lake Superior. Okay, it's not my job to do this. Lex, tell us about Pride Fest 2025.
So since you were there a couple of years ago, you know mostly what to expect. We have changed the festival layout a little bit, but hopefully we'll have better weather than we did 2 years ago.
It was 48.
It was, and raining. All sideways. We were wet. We were so wet. And thousands of people still came out because rural pride is so important. We're not the only ones anymore. UP Pride Fest has been going since 2014, but Ironwood now has a Pride that's been running for 5 years. The Keweenaw has just had their third Pride, and Escanaba now has a Pride. So we are so excited to kind of bolster the Pride Festival family in the Upper Peninsula so that everybody can go to a festival as close to them as possible. Although we want them all to come to Marquette as well to make ours a bigger celebration. The things that I love most about Pride up here in the middle of nowhere is that it's just a different vibe than big city Pride festivals. It's a lot more family, a lot more intergenerational, a lot more just meeting and community and connection. You know, by virtue of the fact that we don't have things like gay bars here or coffee shops or, you know, those sorts of specifically oriented to the community places, we have to create our own. And this is this is our biggest throughout the year. And it is the largest Pride festival in the Upper Peninsula. And it is the longest running, as I've stated before. But as far as different from the last time you were here, John, we've got 5 bands, including Pink Squeeze from Chicago again, and 2 drag shows, over 80 vendors, including a lot of fun food trucks,
Wow.
art and activity tent that'll have puppet making, and we have a puppet theater. You can make little plays, and Singo. If you're familiar with what Singo is, it's like bingo, but you play songs instead of call numbers.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh,
Can I
fun.
ask, Lex, do you have any sense of how far away people come from? I don't know how you would ever know that.
I actually asked last year when I was hosting one of our drag shows, and the farthest was 15 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, somebody
I
drove
mean,
15
it's
hours.
7 from Minneapolis.
It
So
It is, yeah. Somebody who had ties to the area, used to live here, had driven up from, I think it was Missouri, to just
Wow.
to come celebrate with us.
Wow. Well, I've been saying that I think this summer a lot of people are going to get out every weekend that they can to wherever, you know, just to be part of the community and to feel that sort of unity. So I think you're going to have, I hope you have a lot more people than you even normally do.
are you so folks who don't know Michigan, the Upper Peninsula, well, most of Michigan, but the Upper Peninsula is red, you know, it's Trump
Yes.
country, but Marquette is very blue, like
Right.
indigo blue, and that's what I love about Marquette. It's such I love the downtown area. You've got gorgeous Lake Superior, but you can walk around, which is very bizarre for me, being a Lower Peninsula Michigander. You can walk. I'm like, there's a pride flag over there. There's one over there. Like, there's an all are welcome sign over here. Like, what is going on? And so, talk to me about being in Marquette and the role that you all play for the larger Upper Peninsula LGBTQ community.
Well, it's a similar role to that we play to the larger Upper Peninsula on a whole. Since we are the largest city for at least 3 hours in any direction, our next closest large city is Green Bay, which isn't even that very large. So people come here to kind of get the things that they don't get in their rural places, like a haircut from somebody who's not going to give you a funny look about the kind of haircut you're getting, a doctor who will actually give you the services that you need, those sorts of things. We try to bolster that by having events as often as possible that are safe spaces, free and intergenerational, so that anybody can, you know, plan their trip to Marquette for their grocery trip, and also stop by and do crafts or have a, you know, come by our clothing swap or our potluck or those sorts of things.
That's
And
great.
it's, I mean, Marquette is a health destination.
Yes.
So a lot of investment in healthcare. You've got Northern University, which is just a gorgeous campus. I keep using the word gorgeous. I mean, gorge. I love Marquette.
It's beautiful.
I've never actually been to an event at Northern, but like we will drive around the campus because I'm like, it's so nice. It's such a cute campus to be driving around. Any folks that you would like want to shout out, orgs or businesses that, you know, are special, like either queer owned or definite allies of the community?
Well, the queer owned business that comes to the top of my head is La Bodega Restaurant. And we actually, of our 16 sponsors for Pride Fest this year, almost all of them are local. Yeah, so we love that. Of course, I don't have the list on me right now, and so I can't rattle all of them off the top of my head. But if you look at our website and see all of the sponsor logos, you'll see that almost all of them are local, and several of them are actually churches.
Really? Tell me more about that.
We have an extremely supportive faith community up here. A wide variety of churches sponsor us. They volunteer for us. This year, they're actually planning an interfaith service the day after Pride. They're helping us take down, and then they're doing the service and lunch to feed all of the people who help us take down. And we're really excited about it. So yeah, we've got Lutheran, Episcopal, non-denominational, and Unitarian Universalist churches that all support us in an extreme way.
Wow. That's fantastic. Have you been to La Bodega, John?
I think so. I'm still mourning the loss of Gene Case.
Oh.
So if folks don't know what pasties are, they're delightful. And Gene Case was like the place for dozens and dozens of years. And Gordy and I got there like last fall and we're like, I'm sorry, where is Gene Case?
What have you done?
We like pulled up and parked and we're like, this looks, are they closed? Like, I mean, we were like, are they closed? So I think we have been to the bodega.
Okay.
But
well, you'll have
it's
to go
been so
now.
many times. I know, right? Definitely, for sure.
Right.
I'm gonna sit here and talk about food the entire time. Lex,
works for me.
Talk to us. So Pride is year round. Talk to us of the role that UP Peninsula Pride does for when it's not June, when it's not Pride Month.
As I said earlier, we're trying to plan as many events as possible. When we talk to people and send out surveys, it's the thing that people ask for most is places to feel safe being themselves, places to make connections with other queer and trans folks. So we try to create a variety of things. We have an event almost every month, which is kind of a feat because we're an entirely volunteer-run organization. And we make it a variety. We've got game nights, crafts, nature hikes, clothing swaps, potlucks, anything that somebody can come up with that might pull a different group of people in, or be open mic night, that sort of thing. We want to be able to create space that people want to come to and feel safe in.
And you said it's intergenerational, or at least that's a goal. And you can imagine that I'm a little bit older than John is, so naturally I would respond to that because I don't think there's enough effort. I'm speaking very generally now, to get the generations talking to each other. So that is there an example of that where you see oldsters and youngsters talking to each other in some way?
Actually, almost all of our events, we have from young teenagers all the way into the 70s and 80s. When you're working with a smaller population to begin with, it ends up being a little less siloed because there's only that one place to go. Everybody goes there.
Right.
And we do our best to foster the connections between those people when they're there.
Right. And go ahead.
Well, no, we're coming up on a break here, but I just wanted to say, it's so important. I was having this conversation earlier today with a different LGBTQ organization about how there's so many things we need to relearn, about stuff that, older generations had, Xers and boomers had gone through for the fights. But there's so much stuff that, Gen Z and others can teach us about, coming out and that, and use of language and inclusive language. So it's so great that you all are creating that space. Again, I have to fit in a break here. We're going to have more with Lex Exworthy from UP Peninsula Pride. Check out more progressive news and talk at am950radio.com and heartlandsignal.com. You are listening to The Gailey Show on AM950 KTNF and WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Do you have a loved one who is not receiving the care that they deserve at their current memory care facility? I'm Aiden Helene, Director of Community Relations here at the Welshire, and I meet with families every single day who are struggling with poor staffing, missed medications, poor personal cares, and an absence of engagement from consistent activities. 85% of our residents at the Welshire are coming from other memory care facilities that could not meet their care needs. Not all memory care is created equally. And if this is something your family is experiencing, I encourage you to come visit our community of well-being and see the Welshire difference, where we promise that your loved one will live with pride and dignity. The Welshire has 24/7 nursing, a robust activities team that provides activities 7 days a week. And when the diagnosis takes a 9-to-5 approach, so will we. Book a tour at welshiremn.com and see our community of well-being in action. That's welshiremn.com. Again, that's WellshireMN.com.
Support comes from Hennepin Arts, presenting Hidden Brain Perceptions Tour with Shankar Vedantam. Are there parts of our minds that are hidden from us? This question launched the Hidden Brain podcast 10 years ago. Now host and creator Shankar Vedantam brings 7 key insights from the first decade of Hidden Brain to the stage. Whether you're new to the show or a longtime listener, this evening of science and storytelling will change how you think about yourself. Tickets available at hennepinarts.org.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. June is here, which means you might be having a graduation party at your house soon. Summer also means sleepovers. Your kids are going to be at the playground, at the water park, at the beach. There's going to be a lot of mess coming into the house over the summer, and you need to call my cleaning heroes at Zero Res to make sure your home is in order for the summer. And since June is here, it's time to take advantage of Zero Res's best deal of the summer. Zero Res can take care of any surface in your home or business, including carpet, tile, hardwood, rugs, upholstery, and air ducts. This month, take 20% off all services when you call my friends at Zero Res 9520 Res or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com. Just tell them you want the AM 950 special. Their prompt, courteous team will come out and take care of you. Again, that's 20% off all services this month. Go to ZeroResMinnesota.com or call 9520 Res and ask for the AM 950 special. Zero Res, backward or forward, spells the same.
Chanhassen Dinner Theaters brings you its most popular show of all time, Grease. You'll hear all your favorite hits from the Broadway musical and the movie. Join the whole gang at Rydell High. We'll sing, we'll dance, we'll bring you back to high school life in the 50s. Poodle skirts, bobby socks, the soda shop, and drive-in movies. Grease, it'll rock your socks off. Order your tickets today. Visit chanhassendt.com.
Welcome back to the Gailey Show. I'm John Parker. Jim Pounds, executive producer, is in the studio with me. With us today is Lex Exworthy, chair of the board of directors for UP Peninsula Pride, which is the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, for folks who are like, what's the UP? The Pride Fest 2025 is happening in Marquette this weekend. I'm very lucky to be able to be headed there Thursday morning. Lex, I read that one of the longer term goals for UP Peninsula Pride is having an LGBTQ plus center. Wow. What can you tell us about that?
Well, as I mentioned before, we don't have any permanent physical spaces that are dedicated to LGBTQ plus community anywhere in the Upper Peninsula. So we want to create that if we can. It's a need in a way that, you know, I have a large pile of things in my garage that are that are for Pride Fest and other events that we have. You know, I can't have a meeting with somebody in an office that we own. I have to schedule it at the library or at a coffee shop or whatever. You know, people can't come by and pick up posters for our and put them up for Pride Fest or things like that. And people can't, you know, just come and gather. Anytime we have an event, we have to interface with another organization, a business, or whoever owns a building that we can meet at. Mm-hmm. And having a space for people to come together would be a huge thing up here.
Well, and how many years did we not have?
I know, I was going to say, like, here in the Twin Cities, we went decades. We always talked about it and talked about it and talked about it. And finally last year, we were able to get a queermunity launched. Finally, and they're fantastic. I'm actually talking to the co-founder of queermunity later this week. So in terms of so there's the vision for the LGBTQ plus center. Like, where are you all at in terms of the planning process? Like, if folks wanted to support that, how could they go about doing that?
Well, our first step is actually going to be a paid staff member. I don't think it would be particularly responsible of us to open a physical space if we didn't have a person whose job it was to help take care of it, to man it, so that people could be there and so that things could get done. So that's our first order of business. And so on our webpage, uprainbowpride.org, you can donate. And actually, sustainable monthly donations are the way that we're hoping to fund our staff person. And once that happens, we will hit the ground running with our plans for a capital campaign to get into a physical space.
Perfect.
That's great.
You were saying earlier that before the break that the sponsors for this year's Pride Fest are almost all local. A question I've been asking folks, because we've seen sort of this pullback, and some prides are experiencing this and some prides aren't experiencing this because of where their cities or communities are at, given the current administration. For y'all in Marquette, have you been experiencing more support, even support? Like, what has the climate been this year and creating this year's Pride Fest?
It's a similar level as last year. Since we don't depend on those large corporations that are, kowtowing to the anti-DEI stuff, we didn't have any of that loss. And we've actually had a couple of organizations that have reached out to us and wanted to support us as a brand new sponsor. And almost all of our sponsors have returned. If we do have somebody pull back a little, it's likely due to their own financial situation and not their support of our community.
I'm glad to hear that.
I'll just say big corporations are flaky. There, I've said it.
That's a diplomatic way of putting it. Something that you have on your website that I absolutely want to talk about is LGBTQ plus UPR resiliency. And again, for folks outside of Michigan, maybe Northwest Wisconsinites will know UPR is for folks who are from the UP, the Upper Peninsula. But Lex, talk to us about resiliency, because I think that's such an important word to be reconnecting with and thinking about in this current climate we're being forced to live through.
Absolutely. Actually, our theme for Pride this year is Resilience in Bloom, which was inspired by our winning poster. We do a poster contest for our poster every year. And the winning poster is these lovely little pansies in the different Pride flag colors coming up out of a sidewalk that says, "We're still here" in it. And I think it really hammers in that we have always been here and we will always be here. Despite the fact that many people think that queer and trans people only exist in big cities or should only exist in big cities, we're everywhere for a lot of reasons. And I mean, I live here on purpose. And there are a lot of reasons people live here. And so we want to be very clear that we're not going anywhere. So we're trying to build that community of support so that we can all have that resilience. We're not all going to have a great day every day. This isn't a marathon. It's actually a relay race. We need everybody to help out in their capacity to support each other when they can. Because I need support sometimes, you need support sometimes. We can't all be on 100% all of the time. And that's what resilience is about. It's about building that community of support so that we can finish the relay race.
I've also been asking folks about, we're 6 months in. Only 6 months in. It sounds like we've been in for 6 years. What is your perspective being a leader within the queer community in the Upper Peninsula? What has been your perspective, your take on the past 6 months and how it's affecting your local community?
We're tired. It's although we don't have a lot of direct effects in up here, gratefully. I'm very grateful that we don't have a lot of direct effects yet. But reading those headlines every day, we all have friends and family in other places who are being affected. We're all thinking in the back of our minds what's next and creating our safety plans. But it's kind of exhausting. So we take the time to celebrate at Pride Fest and really, hopefully, just let everything out. And we also had a collective scream after the election results came out, where we all got together, actually virtually across. It was supposed to be across the Upper Peninsula. It ended up being across the world. We had some people who had connections to us in other parts of the world who screamed with us, and it was very cathartic. And it was a good base for us to start planning forward, is to really get out those big emotions to start with together.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, how did that, did everyone turn their mics off, or was all their mics on and everybody scream?
There was some screaming. It was fine. We gathered in groups in various places across the Upper Peninsula, and we did a live stream that included those groups. And then other people joined us from a lot of other places, and we had a little grounding exercise. We all screamed at the same time, and then
That's great. That's very cathartic.
Alexis, it's been such a joy to talk with you. I'm so glad that you can make the time. What time does Pride Fest start on Saturday?
noon Eastern time.
In Eastern, and goes until 5.
No, it goes all the way till 10:30 p.m. Yeah, we've got our alcohol sales start at 5 p.m. and the big drag show starts at 8 p.m. Our daytime drag show is family friendly, but our evening drag show, we do have a parental discretion advisory on there.
Well, the website is uprainbowpride.org. Thank you, Lex, for joining us today. We're going to be back with Tammye Nash, managing editor of the Dallas Voice, when we come back. Stay tuned. You are listening to The Gailey Show on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
This is Santita Jackson, Monday through Friday, 6 to 8.
Hey, I think we talked to each other. So this is still live on YouTube.
Okay.
So you're on a hot mic. But hopefully you're going to be there all day, I'm assuming. So
I will be there for 14 hours on Saturday.
Well, I'll search you out.
Hey, Lex.
Excellent.
Lex, I'm going to write my phone number on a piece of paper and I'll pin it to his shirt.
Okay.
So if you find him,
Excellent.
you'll be able to call me.
We got to keep moving along.
Yeah.
Lex, thank you so much for your time. See you this weekend.
Yeah, I'll see you this weekend.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Tammye Nash.
Hello.
Hey, I'm glad this
Working.
worked. So we've got about a couple minutes before we go back on the air. This is live still on YouTube. So
Okay.
you're on the hot mic right now.
Hi, YouTube. I won't say anything bad.
Just as we have FCC still to deal with, so
Okay, I'll try to behave.
Yeah, I know it's a thing for me on a daily basis. Jim catches me, and I catch him. So looking forward to this. Thank you so much, Tammye. I got your email, so I'll check on those calendar invites if they're not coming through.
Oh, I've got everything else. I got everything else but today's.
Okay, of course.
So, and I may have just missed it in the email. Clicked everything but that one, but I just used one of the other links. So.
And I've got some graphics for y'all that I can send your way if you want to use those. And then you sent me some language that I'll use in here, so we'll just do a graphic swap.
That sounds great. That sounds great.
Okay, we're gonna switch back over to the regular feed now. And see you in a couple. I'll put the time cues in the private chat.
Okay.
Perfect. Magic of Broadway. The dates are June 21st and 22nd at the Ordway. Tickets start at $28. Get yours today at tcgmc.org. That's tcgmc.org. It's entertainment worth coming out for.
Hey, it's Tom. As the birds begin to sing and the days grow longer, there's no better time to spring into savings than now with All Energy Solar. Spring is perfect for home improvements, so why not choose a project that saves you money and helps create a cleaner, greener planet? While solar panels require an initial investment, the savings on your energy bills quickly add up. With a lifespan of at least 25 years, your system from All Energy Solar can save you tens of thousands of dollars over time. Act now and you can still take advantage of the 30% federal tax credit. Plus, you may qualify for additional incentives depending on where you live. The future is uncertain, but with solar energy, you can lock in your energy rates for years to come. With All Energy Solar's experience and expertise, they'll guide you toward a greener future and unlock the full potential of solar power. Take the first step toward energy independence and a greener future. Get a free consultation today at allenergysolar.com. That's allenergysolar.com.
Coming to you from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and airing on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Welcome back to The Gailey Show, the only daily LGBTQ progressive radio news and talk show in these United States. I'm your host, John Parker, a professional queer since 2014. Jim Pounds, my executive producer, is in studio with me. We are just past 33 minutes after the hour. Dallas Voice just started its 42nd year as the voice of the LGBTQ community in North Texas and beyond. Visit their website at dallasvoice.com and their social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. You can join me in subscribing to their excellent weekly e-newsletter at dallasvoice.com. Tammye Nash is their managing editor. Tammye has worked as a professional journalist, spending more than 30 of those years as a writer and editor for Dallas Voice, the LGBTQ media source for North Texas and beyond. In her spare time, she takes photos, mainly of birds and flowers and the dog. And starting today, Tammye will be joining us bi-weekly to bring us the latest award-winning reporting from Dallas and Texas. And I'm so happy that we have this partnership with you, Tammye. Welcome back to the Gailey Show.
Thank you guys for having me. I enjoy it, so I'm looking forward.
Good. We do too. So we were like, oh, fingers crossed. But so here we are. This past weekend there was an election for the city council and the mayor of San Antonio, and the victorious mayoral candidate is an out LGBTQ candidate. What can you tell us about it?
Okay, her name is Gina Ortiz Jones, and this is not her first campaign. She's run twice. I can't remember if it was for state house or Congress, but she has been too, and she had a good showing in each campaign. But it's Texas. But just reading from her bio, she was in the Air Force ROTC, got a scholarship to Boston University, was in the Air Force as an intelligence officer, deployed to Iraq. She served under Biden as the 27th Undersecretary of the Air Force. She was the first woman of color, the first out lesbian.
Wow.
She has the Department of Defense Medal for Distinguished Public Service, which is the highest civilian award. Then when she finished that, she moved back to San Antonio, which is her hometown. She's on a couple of boards, the Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America Board of Directors, the Asian American Foundation Advisory Council, Council on Foreign Relations. She has degrees from Boston University, University of Kansas, and the U.S. Army School of Advanced Military Studies. So she is impressive, to say the least. But she won, I believe she was the top, she got the most votes in the regular election back in May for mayor of San Antonio. But there were a bunch of people in the thank you. There were a bunch of people in the race, so there was not anybody that got a 50% majority. So in the runoff, I think it wasn't really a close race in the runoff. I think they were pretty sure she was going to win by the time it all rolled around. So, but she is I think only the third woman to be mayor of San Antonio. She is the first out LGBTQ person to be mayor of San Antonio. So, I mean, San Antonio is, just double check the size. I know Houston was a big deal when Anise Parker was mayor there. And because it was such a big city, and she was the first openly LGBTQ mayor of like a top whatever city, top 10, top 3, something like that. And
I always think when I think of liberal places in Texas, I just automatically think of Austin, but I guess I'm now going to have to add San Antonio to that list.
Well, to be perfectly honest, most of the larger cities in Texas are going to be blue. Houston is pretty much a blue. DFW, well, Dallas, the FW part is still.
I was going to say
FW. But you know what? Today, at 6 p.m. today, the Fort Worth City Council is signing a proclamation honoring Pride Month. So, and we have had in Fort Worth did have a very well-known openly gay city council member some years back with Joel Burns.
All right. That's
so
good.
He made, what's that on Ellen? He got to be pretty famous with a speech he made that had to do with coming out and LGBTQ teens and why it's important. But this is San Antonio is the 7th largest city in the United States by population,
Wow.
and the 3rd largest metropolitan area in Texas.
Wow.
Like 1 point, almost 1.5 million in population. So, but and it is, I believe, a very Hispanic, Latino population there. Not everybody, but there is it's known as a larger Hispanic population, Latino population there. But like I said, Houston, Dallas, Austin, and San Antonio are the big cities here, and they are all pretty much blue areas.
Good.
But we have all that massive space in between that's red, right?
In the race for mayor and city council, were there any issues that were sort of the either hot button or primary? Like they were like, these are the major issues that the candidates were talking about?
I don't know because I was very busy with Dallas, but I can find out.
No,
I don't think people forget how big Texas is sometimes.
Oh, it's
big. We have Dallas up here, DFW up here. San Antonio is a good 4-hour drive from here.
Yeah.
And that's when you drive like me. So, and I drive like I'm on the road. So.
There is a piece of legislation that I've been waiting on this story to get you back on here to talk about, because I almost fell off my chair when I saw the headline come across my news feed. A couple weeks ago, the Texas House voted 59-56 to repeal a state statute that bans, quote, deviant sexual intercourse with another individual of the same sex. This is historically significant because this was the law that Bostwick, so the Supreme Court case, said, yeah, you can criminalize gay sex. And then in 2003, Lawrence v. Texas, where the Supreme Court said, no, we got it wrong. Y'all can have the gay sex and we're not going to arrest you for that anymore. That was based off of this law. And so the Texas House voted for the first time to repeal that. I mean, how in the heck did Republicans and Democrats come together?
I don't know. I don't know. It's the angel. Did the angel come down and visit them and say, "Do this," or lightning bolts? I don't know. Right. But I'm talking about the history. The Bostwick. It was in the 80s. That case was actually Georgia, and I think the reason that I'm not sure about this, but because I'm old and I got the CRS, but I believe that case was not overturned by the Supreme Court simply because it applied to everybody. It wasn't LGBTQ. It wasn't gay specific. Now that may not be right, but I believe that's how they got away with okaying that. When we got to Lawrence v. Texas, that is the Texas law, and we call Section 2106 of the Texas Penal Code. 2106 was a big number for us. It just targeted same-sex couples. Mm-hmm. And I believe the Georgia law that was upheld was regardless of, sexual gender coupling. But now the Texas law was overturned in 1980 something too by a local judge, Barefoot Sanders. Judge, I don't even remember what his real name was, but they called him Barefoot Sanders, and he said, it's clearly a violation of equal protection and all this other stuff. And he overturned the law. He overturned 2106, and he said, you can't do that. And that was here in Dallas, where that case was. And I can't remember that DA's name. Bowers. Was it Bowers v. Hardwick was Georgia.
Hardwick, yeah, that was the.
Okay. But there was a case in the 80s in Texas, and let's see, it was.
That's right. I got to get my cases right. Bowers v. Hardwick was in the 80s. I was saying Bostwick. Bostwick was another one, a Supreme Court case recently that dealt with workforce.
Yes, Bostwick. Yeah, Bostwick was a couple of years ago, and that was equal opportunity in employment.
So you had a judge that overturned it, and then they found a way to get it back on the books.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Okay, Lauren. Okay, wasn't that one?
Tammye, in the 80s, you were wrong. We just didn't say anything.
Fact checking, as they say in Chicago. Facts matter.
That was anyway. There was this case in Texas, in Dallas in the 80s, and the local federal district judge said, it's unconstitutional. And the DA at the time here in Dallas is like, I'm not going to appeal this. If it appealed, it would go to the Fifth Circuit, which is,
The worst.
traditionally a very conservative, right-leaning appellate court. But, it would have to go through a couple of other state levels first, right? But he said, I'm not going to appeal this. And I was a wee child back then, but I believe it had to do with if with that judge's ruling, with Sanders' ruling, it applied here in Dallas and DFW, or in his area of impact. If it was appealed and they upheld his ruling, the appellate court, and I believe the Texas appellate court at that time probably would have upheld the ruling. But then it would go into effect statewide. Then it would have a wider impact. And some person from some DA from somewhere else, like in west of here, can't even remember his name, but it's like, oh no, we can't have this. And so he stepped in and appealed the case, and it's like, why don't you mind your own business? Yeah. But anyway, it was overturned on appeal. So it came, so 2106 was still there. In the early 90s, there was a civil lawsuit. Dallas Police Department had a policy prohibiting openly LGBTQ officers, because if you say that you're gay, then you're saying you violate the Texas Penal Code, Section 2106 of the Texas Penal Code. You're a criminal. Now, that was a Class C misdemeanor, right? Like a speeding ticket, but
wow,
that's what they used to keep openly gay people off the force. Obviously, there were gay officers, but nobody talked about it.
Right.
So, and that went up. It was, the one, and the reason that the case started, there were two cases. One was from Micah England filed a suit against the police department, but there was another one where a man named John Thomas and Charlotte Taft, who were two of our leading activists around here at the time, they filed a civil suit saying, you are violating my rights. But the Texas lawmakers got around, or judges got around that by saying, you filed a civil suit against a criminal statute. We can't, that's, your civil suit is in the civil courts, because, Texas has a civil appellate court and a criminal appellate court. And then you go to the Supreme Court, and they're like, we don't have standing over criminal statutes. So, it's dismissed. So
I feel like I've just taken a class in Texas law.
Oh, Lord.
At a high level.
There's so much more.
Oh, I'm sure.
So much more.
Like
but,
day one.
Well, I think it's important. I think it's important to dive into it, because Texas is the state, sort of like we see California or Massachusetts. Texas is an area where the conservatives, particularly through the 5th District Court, will try to run things up and get things overturned, or come out with the LGBTQ community. So I'm really happy, Tammye, that you're taking us through that. I have to fit in a break. But we're going to have more with Tammye Nash, managing editor of the Dallas Voice, when we come back. Stay tuned. Lots still to get to here on The Gailey Show. You can keep the conversation going on Blue Sky. We're at thegaileyshow.org. You can follow us there. You can also sign up for the AM950 newsletter for more from The Gailey Show. You can go to am950radio.com. You can sign up for that newsletter. You're listening to The Gailey Show on AM950, KTNF, and WCPT 820.
Hastings, get ready to celebrate love and community. Hastings Pride returns at 11 a.m. Friday, June 14th at Levy Park, and everyone's invited. Enjoy live music, drag performances, food trucks, local vendors, and family activities, all by the river in beautiful downtown Hastings. Let's come together to uplift every color of the rainbow. Hastings Pride on June 14th at Levy Park. All are welcome, all belong. Details at ideaorganization.org or on Facebook and Instagram.
The Council on LGBTQIA2S+ Minnesotans is conducting a community needs survey. Data from the survey will be used to make recommendations to improve LGBTQ people's health and well-being in Minnesota. The May 31st deadline has been extended through June. So as we celebrate Pride Month, make sure you take advantage of this extraordinary opportunity to tell our stories. The survey is confidential, and you can fill it out online at mnqt.info/survey.
Hi, I'm Peter Solak.
And I'm Adam Ostrowski.
We are here at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces to talk about the joy of live fire cooking. Cooking over a live fire is the oldest and most basic form of cooking.
What's new is in the way fire is handled and its heat is managed.
It's easier to experience and enjoy the smell and taste of food cooked over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces sells and installs live fire grills, fire pits, and ovens. Let us help you experience the smell, the taste, the fun of cooking with fire.
Pizza was first made and is still best made in an open fire oven. The radiant and conductive heat of a live fire is unmatched for wood roasting and baking artisan breads too.
Come see the many ways you can cook over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood and gas units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. More information at woodlandstoves.com. Find the fire that works for you. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067 or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
Welcome back to the Gailey Show. We are coming up on the top of the hour. We are with Tammye Nash, managing editor of the Dallas Voice. Tammye will be joining us starting today on a bi-weekly basis. We're happy to have her here with
Sorry about that. I'm in my office today and people keep coming in the door. Sorry about that.
Busy time for journalism.
Yeah, it's our big issue this week. So our biggest issue. So Baker v. Wade was that case in the 80s.
Oh, okay.
And Henry Wade was the district attorney in that case. So
yeah.
Don Baker challenged the law. Anyway.
Perfect. Cool. Well, I mean, I'm sure that part of the reason why it's a busy week is that it's Pride Month, and Dallas has 2 Pride celebrations, and there are a variety of events happening outside of Dallas as well. So maybe we want to start with Dallas and their two events.
Okay, we have Dallas Pride is the traditional Pride that goes back for years, but it used to happen in September. And because first, September's cooler, but also because that Baker v. Wade decision came down, I think, in August. So they organized a celebration for September, and they moved the parade and the Pride celebration in September. So the Dallas Pride celebration was in September, third Sunday in September forever until 2019. And because of a lot of cost involved, they moved it was then called Dallas Pride, and it was a 2-day event, is a 2-day event, and it's happening Saturday and Sunday this weekend, 14th and 15th. Saturday is the music festival. It's a big deal with a lot of people performing. A lot of local people. They bring in outside bigger name entertainers from outside. And that's all happening at Fair Park, which is where the State Fair of Texas is held. And they moved it there because less security is needed. They don't have to block off streets and all this good stuff. So that's Saturday. Sunday, from like 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. the vendor part of the festival continues, and the festival includes a special teen pride section, and it includes the family pride zone for parents and kids, with younger kids, so they can go do younger kid stuff. But then on Sunday at 2 p.m. is the parade. Now it's called Dallas Pride Parade. For a long time, it was the Allen Ross Texas Freedom Parade, named after the guy who ran the Tavern Guild, which sponsored the parade for most of the time. So now we have that, and it had moved in 2019. That moved from September around to June, and they wanted to be part of Pride Month and do all that. And then there were people that were mad because it was all in Oak Lawn, which is our neighborhood, and it would come right down Cedar Springs Road on the parade, and that's the main drag for the homos in Dallas. But there's a lot involved, a lot of cost involved in hiring police and blocking off those streets and barricades and cleaning up afterwards because people are messy.
Right.
So, but people were still mad that they had moved it out of the neighborhood, or the gayborhood as we call it. So this is the third year. Honestly, I can't remember if this is the third year or the fourth year. Another group formed called Pride in Dallas, as opposed to Dallas Pride, and they have a separate Pride parade on the third Sunday of September every year now.
Okay.
So we have two big prides.
Wow.
Also this weekend, Saturday from like 2 to 11 in Arlington, which is one of the major mid cities between Dallas and Fort Worth. They have a big Arlington Pride celebration, which is about 3 years old now, 4 years old.
Oh, wow.
And there's a place called Levitt Pavilion. It's an outdoor pavilion in downtown Arlington, and they get that. And I think Trixie Mattel is one of the headliners this year.
Wow.
Yeah. So, that's a big deal. We have Saturday at the Roundup Saloon, which is the gay country western bar here, where you want to see cowboys two-step, and that's where you go, or cowgirls. But this Derek Todd Productions is coming in, and he's bringing his strut celebration party. I think he takes it to different towns, and this one is Strut Dallas. And again, second or third, I can't remember. But they're going to be at the Roundup. They had been at Virgin Hotels. Last year it was at Virgin Hotels. This year it's at the Roundup. And Raja, who was one of the early drag race winners, the one that was the makeup artist for, what's her name? The model. Y'all know what's her name.
Yeah.
But
Can't think of it, but yeah.
But Roger's the headliner for that. So that's Saturday night. So we got Dallas Pride, we got Arlington Pride, we got Strut Dallas. All that's on Saturday. Dallas Pride continues on Sunday. And then we have a lot of East Texas Prides. Right now, Dallas Voice is working to expand and cover what we call a news desert, LGBTQ news desert in the smaller East Texas, and even into Louisiana. Like Tyler and Longview, because there's a population there that is organized to a certain extent, and we're trying to cover that. We actually have a part-time reporter who is our East Texas reporter now. So, but there's a lot of stuff going on in Longview and Tyler, and and then little towns, suburbs around Dallas. Carrollton has a pride, I think. Frisco has a pride. There's something all over. Fort Worth has stuff too.
I hate to cut you off. We're at time for the day. Folks, you can go to dallasvoice.com to find out all of these prides that are going on there and to stay up to date with all of the award-winning journalism. Tammye, thank you for joining us. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
All right. Thanks again. I really enjoy talking with y'all. Y'all can tell me to shut up sometimes too.
Well, up next.
I get carried away.
Up next on WCPT 820 is Choose Views with Richard Chu. On AM 950 is the Matt McNeil Show, and stay tuned for Native Roots Radio after that. And until tomorrow, keep it queer, America.
Keep it queer.